Welcome to Offgrid Victory. So I wanted to introduce you to the newest addition to our homestead, and let me go show you that right now. And they are Italian bees from an apiary in Georgia. And so I want to quickly talk to you guys about the setup that I'm going to be employing, as well as installation, right? And so one of the things I want to quickly talk to you about is I know, in my research, people say they could be kind of left in its original container, this box, for up to a week, 7 days. But I would not advise that at all. In fact, I would say as soon as that post office calls you, go ahead, get it, have the frame, everything ready to install them. And the reason is kind of what happened to me, right? So once I picked these bees up from the post office, they looked pretty good, but they were, it was still cold outside, and the morning temperatures probably was around 40, but not freezing. And warmed up to about 50 degrees or so during the day. And now it's kind of going up to 60 degrees. At any rate, so they looked kind of lethargic and didn't look that lively when I picked them up. But I knew they were still alive and doing okay. Now, once I went and installed the bees, well, that was a different story. So to my surprise, the sugar feeding can that it came with was empty, entirely empty. And so I don't know exactly what happened during the shipping process, whether it was leaned over too much, whether it spilled out, but basically they wouldn't have had enough feed to last them a week. There's no way that they might have even survived even 4 or 5 days, right? So I had a lot of dead bees that came out of this thing. Now, one of the things I want to say is, I used to keep bees almost 10 years ago, and it's taken me that long to get back in it just because of the demands of the homestead and things like that. But I thought it was worthwhile finally to get back into this hobby. So I used to just dump the bees in like most guys, but I kind of used YouTube to kind of see if there was a cleaner, easier, less shocking way of installing the bees. And so I did try that. So this is a 10 frame unit, and so I took out maybe 4 frames and then stuck this guy in, opened with the queen out, with the queen on in between 2 frames, and then I let it sit basically 2 days to see if all the bees would come out, and sure enough, no, they did not. And so I would not recommend that method. Go ahead and just dump it into your frame and then be done with it. That's really what you want to do. Lesson learned, right? So at any rate, I'm going to show you the bees right now. They're coming in and out. Excuse the opening here. This is just a piece of scrap wood I had that kind of fit the bill. I wanted to keep that opening small, and you can see the entrance and the opening is entirely closed except right there. And they're going in and out. They're happy. And so, yeah, I mean, it's not the prettiest thing. I'm going to go ahead and work on a second frame next with a queen extruder. So the second frame is going to go up here. That's going to be my honey frame, and then the extruder is going to be there, the queen extruder, right? Excluder. And I'll do a better roof. Like, this roof was pretty janky. I put it together with scrap wood I had. I'm going to use the nicer outdoor wood like this that I have below, and go ahead and finish the job of making the frames, as well as the roof. But what I did do is 2 important things. What I did was start feeding them the sugar water. Though I guess some honey is basically sugar water. But anyway, this is just 50% cane sugar and then water. And so you want to feed them for at least a week, and I might even go longer, maybe even 2 weeks, because of the shock that these guys had in the shipping process. And so, excuse all this wind noise, hopefully, yeah. Anyway, so what I did was I did another thing. Like, initially I installed this in my garden, which is about, I would say 200 feet away from this area, and you can see the wind's really kicking up. And I realized, yeah, I needed to strap this thing down so it wouldn't move, and then just for easier working, I used this old water trough here to put it on top of. But yeah, you want to feed it right away. That's number one. You want to install, actually, number one is install it right away, then start feeding it right away, because yeah, you might end up with my situation where if I had left it another day or two, a lot more bees would have died because they would have had no food. So yeah, the key lesson here is install them right away, start feeding them right away, and then of course the third thing, yeah, have your setup all done before scrambling like I did to try to make a roof and a feeding vessel like this. But with all that said, I think this project went fairly well. And the other thing about transport too, if you want to transport these things, you really shouldn't move them more than a few hundred feet because they could get disoriented. And what I had to do is take them out of the garden where they were much more exposed to the wind and the rain and the sun, right? So as the spring kind of progresses and we go into the summer months, I wanted to give them partial shade. So they're underneath this cedar tree where my mushroom logs are. And finally I was able to get a few shiitake mushrooms off of it this year, so hallelujah. But anyway, I wanted to show you my setup and the kind of lessons learned. Don't use the cheesy, you know, no mess kind of method where you just put the box into the whole frame. Didn't really work. I ended up shaking them out anyway. And of course, install them right away. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and hope we get honey from all of this. Alrighty, shalom.